Hey, Ray Del Vecchio here from websiteprofitcourse.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make a custom WordPress plugin. This is not a directory plugin. It's got to be approved by WordPress or that you can download from the plugin directory. Instead, it's something that you make yourself and just upload it right to your website. And I got this idea from this guy, Bill Erickson. He has this blog post here called Core Functionality Plugin. He's a developer, and he provides an example of how he does it over here with his GitHub. So I'm going to go ahead and give you my skeleton code. I kind of built on top of his. So I'll include a link to that download where you can do this in the description below. And then I'm going to step through it and show you exactly how all this works. Let me open up these files here, and I do this with Notepad++. That's my favorite code editor. And the quick reason why I'm doing this core functionality plugin is because with my previous theme, they allowed you to insert PHP code directly into the theme templates. So I had to take a lot of the functions that were in those theme templates and put them into this plugin file. So this is the plugin folder right here, and I have a Notepad++ session file, which if I double click this, it's going to open up all my plugin files. If you want to see how to use Notepad++, I'll link up a video here in the top right. It's a super lightweight code editor. So in the top level folder, you really only have two files, and that's the README. And then we have our top level core functionality.php, and this is what links up all the other files that are in the subfolders. So we define our directory and URL of the plugin path. We're going to use that in some of these files here. And then we have two files that we include. That's insert head.php and insert body.php. And that's because I normally use two different hooks in order to put code into the head or the footer of the page. If I go into the includes folder here, you'll see that that's where those two PHP files are. And then there's only two other files outside of that. That's your CSS file, which gives you your styles, and then your JavaScript file, which is your interactivity. You obviously don't have to use all these different features, but this is just a good framework to start with when you're building out your plugin. So let's take a look at the insert head.php. That's the next tab over here. And then this is where, if you take a look at this, these are the functions that you can normally add to your functions.php file. So if you're familiar with that, this core functionality plugin is almost nothing more than just your functions.php file in another place. The one reason that you would like to use a plugin instead of the functions.php is if you don't have a child theme created. You need a child theme if you're customizing your functions.php, because if you don't have that, then your customizations are going to get overwritten when that parent theme is updated. And by putting it into a plugin like this, it makes it theme independent, so these functions will always be there regardless of what theme you have installed. This only has two quick functions here. We have this function enqueue CSS JS, and you can see we're adding that action to the WP enqueue scripts. I think this is a hook. Let me look this up real quick. WordPress has a developer reference on their website, so if we just search out that function, or I'm sorry, that hook, it'll pull up the developer.wordpress.org page, and this is where you can take a look. So right now, this is the hook page. I think if we go back here, they also have the function page. This is where you can see the parameters, what data type each of these parameters is, and then also whether or not there's a return value. I mean, this is just like regular programming if you use another programming language. I'm not going to really go in depth with all those details. I'm assuming that you have a base of a little bit of PHP, JavaScript, or CSS here. But if not, this is an interesting way to learn. So this function, all it's doing is adding those two files, the styles.css file and then the functions.javascript file. We're actually creating custom version numbers here based on the date the file was edited. So basically, anytime you make an edit to this, it's going to add a version to that and then just append it to the URL. And that helps to bypass any caching, because usually a cached file will appear on the front end. You might make a change to the CSS file, upload it, but it's showing you the cached file on the front end, and it looks like your change isn't working when in reality, you just have to clear that cache. So this makes that a little bit smoother so you don't have to deal with that. And then we're using these two WordPress functions here, WP enqueue style for the CSS, and then WP enqueue script to add the JavaScript file. The parameters here, this is just a little slug to name this JavaScript or CSS file. You can put any dependencies on here. So if this JavaScript file depended on a different JavaScript library that you were adding somewhere else, you can add that slug over here. Then we add our version. And this last one is a Boolean value. I believe this might be whether or not to add the code to the header or to the HTML head or the body. So the next function here is adding integration code to the head. So this right now is FancyBox version 4.0. I believe on my website over here I have a different version, but I can update that. I put together this website in Divi, and actually I have a full tutorial if you want to see me build it in the top right. I'll link that up. I didn't know how to do this custom plugin before, so I was adding all of this integration code to Divi's theme options. They have an integration tab over here. And in essence, what we're doing in the plugin is exactly what's going on here. You're adding code to the head or the body. So this is where I have the FancyBox code along with my Google Tag Manager code and then Typekit. So I can just copy and paste, or actually cut and paste this right over into my plugin file. And I think this is a good example of how with WordPress, you can do something in like 5 or 10 different ways, and there's no correct way or best way most of the time. So this function here, you can see that this is PHP code. We're breaking that PHP code and just inserting HTML. I'm going to just copy and paste all of this in here, and then just let me tab this over. And up here we have a PHP comment that's started with the 2 slashes. Down here, this is an HTML comment. So I'm gonna remove this since I had this the FancyBox and the Google code separated, where I'm combining it right here. So this add integration code function is going to insert this code within the head by using this hook, WP head. As you can see here, by using these WordPress hooks, you got to go through the reference to see what other hooks are available to you, but it's incredibly powerful where you can edit almost any part of your website. Google's your friend here, and make sure that you're looking right at the developer reference. And the other site the other 2 sites that I really like here, WordPress.Stack Exchange and then Stack Overflow. If you have any specific implementation questions, usually somebody else has tried it before and it's answered on those 2 forums. So let's go back to the code here. We'll go to the next file. Let me save this first. And the next one is insert body. I kind of have skeleton code built out here for Google Tag Manager because you have to insert something both in the head and the body. So let me go back to my theme options here. I got my Google Tag Manager code, so let me cut and paste that over to the plugin. And I'll paste it in right here. Again, this is just like the other function where this is breaking the PHP and we're inserting HTML code here. And then the other thing I have here in the integration code is a little bit of jQuery, which links up FancyBox. This is what we can add to the JavaScript file. So let's go back to Notepad++. Take a quick look at the styles. This is a template that I use with Divi. I knew about CSS variables, but I had never used them until doing this. So with this, we're just applying variables to the body element for colors. So you can set your colors. I got contrast, dark, light, green. And then I got a comment over here with the actual color. So the contrast color is red, the dark is black, and this is the hex code. And then you can use these variables anywhere down here. So you can see we have a highlight variable, which is yellow. We're setting the mark HTML element background color to this variable. I have a couple customizations, like for example, this link hover. I like to make it underline when you hover over a link. This is setting that for a bunch of Divi modules, like the text module, the post content module, etc. And then down here, I got my responsive styles. So this is for max width 800 pixels, and this is for max width 500 pixels, which is like a mobile style. So any HTML that is added with your plugin code here, you want to style it so it's all self-contained. And then if we go over to the functions here, I also include the function to enable FancyBox with version 4.0. So if you look at the code over here, this is likely going to be different because I was using a different version of FancyBox and they actually implement it differently in version 4.0. So I am going to have to convert this a little bit. All I'm really doing is applying FancyBox to any anchor element with the class FancyBox, or any element that has the class FancyBox and an internal anchor element or a child anchor element. Now in this specific piece of code, I'm enabling it for the block gallery. So this is if you want to use FancyBox to open up a gallery image, in a modal window instead of having to open it up in a new tab. So let me go ahead and just change this block gallery class to .FancyBox. You can also see I got a line up here commented with exactly that, a.FancyBox. So this is an if statement. It's just checking to see if there are any FancyBox elements. And then this line is adding the attribute data FancyBox group. That groups them together so that when you click on the FancyBox, you can navigate, left and right to all the various images on that page. Since I'm not using this specifically for the gallery, I'm just going to eliminate this line. I'm just going to comment it out. And we're just going to do this fancybox.bind because this is how it's done with version 4.0 to the same element here, .fancybox. And you know what? Just let me eliminate these commented lines. It just makes it simpler. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this entire statement and do it again for anchor element with the class fancybox. So we should be good to go. I'll be able to test all of this out. If we have any problems, we'll debug them. Let me go back to the Divi options here. And I'm just going to remove the fancy box lines or comment them out since we did that with the plugin. I'm going to leave this other code here since this is for something else. And let me save the changes. So we get rid of this code from the theme options. Then we'll go over to FileZilla. This is where I can upload directly to my web server. And by the way, I mentioned before how all of these files were from my old theme. I came up with a process to do this theme audit if you are going to switch themes. I'll link that video in the top right. I think that's very helpful. And that's how I saved all of these code customizations to make sure I didn't lose anything once I transferred over if I ever wanted to go back and take a look at how things were done. So let me copy over this folder into our plugins folder on WordPress. We're going to have to manually activate it. So we go back into our WordPress admin area over to the plugins, and we should see our new plugin here. The name and the description here comes from the core functionality. That's what you're seeing right over here. Once we activate, we're either going to have this working or we might get an error. So hopefully we don't get that error. And it looks like it activated successfully. Now let's go to our front end. Let's refresh. I got the blog page loaded up here, and we can test Fancybox right on this link here. This is where I link up a giveaway. And it looks like we didn't get this to work. It's not popping up here. So let me bring up the inspector. We'll see what our error is. And it's showing us that Fancybox is not defined, which means that we having some kind of issue with adding the Fancybox library, which would be our insert head. And now I know what that is. It's because I copied and pasted the wrong version. Within the JavaScript file, I was using the formatting for Fancybox 4.0, not 3.5.7, which is what we have here. So that was a mistake on my part. I just got to copy and paste the 4.0 code. Let me do that really quick. Now I got that updated here. You can see the versions within the URL. So let me save this and upload it, and we'll test it again. So that change got rid of the error, but I still was having one more issue, and that's because Divi, by default, if you have a link that starts with the hashtag or the pound sign, it's going to do a smooth scroll since it thinks that's on the page. I'm using that same format for the pop-up, and you can see when I click on it, it doesn't open the pop-up. It just goes right to the top of the page. So I had to add this one line of code here, and that is adding the class ET smooth scroll disabled. That disables that feature right there. And I'm targeting any links, anchor elements that have a link that starts with that hashtag MC. And that just stands for MailChimp since this is hooked in with my MailChimp email marketing platform. So by adding that, we fixed the problem. I got this open in a new tab here. And you can see when I click on it, it opens Fancybox. Now, obviously, there's one more issue that I found, and that's the style here. All my CSS code was for Fancybox version 3.5.7. All that got changed with version 4.0. So I'm either going to need to revert back to the old version of Fancybox just to get this working or update the CSS code. I'm not going to do that in this video because I don't want this to run on forever. You can see that we have the basics in place. We do have the plugin running correctly, and the only issue is just with my CSS styles. That's all I got for this video, and I hope you found it helpful. If you're doing something like this, you're probably a little bit more advanced, and I bet you have the skills to build websites for other people. You can make some money that way freelancing. Go to my homepage. I'll give you a free cheat sheet, 15 tools to start your web design business. You can download that from websiteprofitcourse.com. Or if you are somewhat new to WordPress, maybe you're a developer but you've never used WordPress, check out my free WordPress training. I'll step you through the backend files that we were just looking at with FTP. I'll dig into the admin area and a lot more. You can sign up for that free training at websiteprofitcourse.com/WP101. And both of those links, along with the resources and skeleton code from this tutorial, if you want to download it, they'll all be in the description below, so check them out. Last but not least, if you learned something in this video, give it a thumbs up. And make sure you subscribe to my channel for any future WordPress or freelancing videos. If you've ever used the functions.php file or done any type of PHP, code hacking or whatever with WordPress, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. I find this to be the most fun part about WordPress. Thanks so much for watching, and check out these other videos I got linked up here if you want to keep on learning.